Welcome back. Now, talking about watches is second nature on Aspire. We've told you about the growing demand for these watches, for the timepieces in the luxury space in India. A classic timepiece, of course, never really goes out of fashion. So we decided to touch base with Tim Bourne. He's the head of watches at Sotheby's International. We quizzed him about the most iconic watches that exist in the world today, what really makes them stand out, and which ones really are worth buying and adding to your collection.
The watch market is a very interesting market at the moment. We're going through a wonderful developmental stage. It's a market that is ever growing on a global perspective as well. And everybody can relate to a watch, and that's part of the nice thing about our part of the business. The demand for high-quality timepieces is very, very strong at the moment. I think the nice thing is that because it comes from so many different countries around the world, we have so many different collectors representing different cultures, that it really is one of the most fascinating of all the collecting spectrums that we have. This is one of the reasons, and the main reasons, why we're actually coming to India to try and develop that, and it's one of our main focuses for this year. The most iconic brands, well, obviously there are two that stand out always in our auctions. They probably account for 60–70% of the value of our auctions, and these are Patek Philippe and Rolex. Two brands that actually represent two different spheres of the collecting market. Patek Philippe very much represents the very high-end luxury side of the market, the small production numbers. Patek Philippe watches, I think, as their advertising goes, is very much stressing the value of watches being passed down from one generation to another. So generally speaking, there are many Patek Philippe collectors in the world, and they are wanting to really hold on to them. There are people that hold on to their collections for decades, sometimes longer than that. Rolex very much also represents the mass market appeal of watch collecting. Rolex as a brand itself produces 1 million watches a year, and everybody can relate to the brand, everybody can understand the brand, whatever country you are. So it's very interesting to see how the development of these two brands is being recognized in our worldwide auctions. Rolex, I think, perhaps represents part of the more wearable group of collectors, people that want to instantly have gratification of putting something on their wrist. And it also represents the middle market level, so it's not overly expensive, but it's within the reach for many, many people. Well, two of my personal favorites in terms of the watches that Sotheby's have sold. One we sold in 2014, which was the super complication pocket watch by Patek Philippe, but made for Henry Graves Jr. This was notable as it is the most complicated watch, and still is the most complicated watch that has been designed by hand. So in other words, there have been no computers that were involved in the development of this particular watch. It's aesthetically a fantastic piece. It has 24 different complications, but it was also a watch that was very iconic for the period and how Patek Philippe was developing from the 1920s through to the 30s, which was quite a pivotal time for that company. The second watch that's also quite interesting is something that we just sold last year, which is a watch that was made for Sir Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of Great Britain. It was a world time watch with a special enamel dial, and it was something that was very personal, and it was given to him, and he treasured it throughout his life. It remained in his collection, and he was very, very proud that he had received this watch. So when it finally came to auction last year, where it was a very thrilling moment for us, especially because it related to so much of a historical importance as well as being an interesting watch. Watches appeal to everybody at whatever, however your wallet can take. So we have watches that we sell watches from $3,000–4,000, and we sell watches up to $2 million. So there's a big variety and diversity of the type of pieces. So people are trading watches, people are exchanging watches, collectors are exchanging watches around the world, and it's like a sort of a common language that whatever other language your tongue may speak, everybody can understand the watch. It sort of unites everybody throughout the world.
Well, that's that on this edition of Aspire. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you same time next week. Until then, do take care. Bye-bye.